Well, hello everyone and welcome. We're so glad you're here today. We are here for the School Nutrition Conference 2020, Feeding Your Well-Being. We know that things are a little different this year and we're doing a virtual format, but we are happy that you are all here and so excited to share this information with you. So let's just get started. Just a little bit about our objectives. We're going to talk about nutrition and how it affects our body today. And a note on nutrition. A lot of us think that nutrition is just food and exercise, but the WHO, or the World Health Organization, defines wellness as the optimal state of health of individuals and groups. There are two focal concerns: the realization of the fullest potential of an individual physically, psychologically, socially, spiritually, and economically, and the fulfillment of one's own role expectations in the family, community, place of work, worship, and other settings. And that's the WHO definition. So it encompasses our entire life, not just exercise and eating, but those do have a huge effect on other areas of our wellness, and we're going to talk about that. So just as we get started, we wanted to let everybody know that this is a safe classroom. What happens in our class today stays in our class today. So when we have breakouts for activities, you are welcome to share and talk with each other. We're going to be sharing general trends that happen to be true, but everybody is different. And none of the information contained herein is medical advice. If you want to change anything in diet or medication, please talk with your doctor and dietitian first before you make any adjustments. And with that, we are going to move on. All right. So let's talk about how our nutrition can affect our mental health. And mental health is no different than any other form of health. It is just a part of our overall wellness story. And it's neither good nor bad. It's just part of our wellness story. Major depressive disorder, or MDD, can increase the risk of poor birth outcomes as well as cognitive, emotional, behavioral, and social issues for the child. Deficiencies in the following nutrients are more common in depressed versus non-depressed individuals, according to the research. Childbearing age women are more at risk to the negative effects of poor nutrition due to the higher strain on their bodies from pregnancy and lactation. These and many nutrients are needed for enzyme activity, receptor function, signal transmission, tissue maintenance, neurotransmitter function and synthesis, oxidative processing and within cells, and antioxidant repair. Now don't worry, we're going to talk about each of these things. Neurotransmitters are the messengers of the central nervous system. They run up and down our nervous system carrying information. They affect many aspects of our bodily function, including heart rate, sleep, mood, hunger, and fear responses. Our mental and brain health also affect all aspects of wellness, including our heart rate, cognitive processing, diet choices, energy metabolism, DNA synthesis, both of which are super important, emotional wellness, how we process and regulate responses to our environment, the central nervous system, and more. Examples of neurotransmitters are amino acids like GABA and glutamine, as well as CO2, norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, which are just a few hormones that are really good and important in our lives. Metabolic regulation, which is our metabolism and how regulated it is, and our immune system are strongly connected. If inflammation is too high, it can cause dysfunction and metabolic problems like type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and weight control problems. If left unchecked, this can lead to immunodeficiency that can lead to infection and cancer, according to Young and Benton. Your nervous system monitors and talks to your body about inflammation and your immune system, and inflammation and your immune system are really highly linked and they talk to each other. So our nervous system is really important. It carries these messages all throughout our bodies and goes, hey, you just bumped your elbow and you might have a bruise there. You should put some ice on it. Those are kind of things that our nervous system carries, as well as lots of other things. None of the information contained herein, like I said, is medical advice, so just bear that in mind as we proceed. What do we know about our mental wellness with our nutritional wellness? That's a good question. Women are approximately at double the risk for major depressive disorder as men. Nutritional interventions are relatively cheap, easy to administer, and can be done at home. It does take some discipline and learning some new methods and maybe some new recipes of how we relate to food and wellness, but it has huge benefits and can improve our well-being vastly. Minorities, unfortunately, are less likely to consume recommended amounts of fruits and vegetables. This is often due to cultural diet structure, socioeconomic status, environmental factors, lower occurrence of family activities, or parental caregiver dietary examples, meaning we're setting the example for younger people in our families by making healthy choices. Parenting and family influence also affects fruit and vegetable consumption throughout early adulthood. Again, if we're not setting that example by making it available and consuming it, our young people are not learning to incorporate that into their diets. The correlation between socioeconomic status and major depressive disorder may be strong for chronic depression. Whereas education, income, and upward social mobility are tied with lower depressive symptoms, optimism, which is an outlook on life and the hope that good things and success are in your future, is linked with healthy and positive lifestyle habits. Now, if we think about that in reverse, it means that if we are including good nutrition in our diet and staying physically active and having a healthy lifestyle, we're more likely to be optimistic, which is a really great thing. It helps us keep a positive mindset about life and a half-full view. Childbearing age women are more at risk for nutritional deficiencies. We mentioned that, and that can cause mental health imbalances due to the burden of pregnancy and lactation. Pregnancy is not a bad thing, it just means we require some more nutrients. Low parental care affected the association between fruit and vegetable consumption and youth in a longitudinal study. Child and adolescent mental health disorders affect 10 to 20% of youth globally, and it is a worldwide priority right now. Approximately 50% of people with lifetime mental health struggles first had symptoms by age 14. Mental health status affects lifetime outcomes such as educational attainment, violent behavior, substance abuse, and poor reproductive and sexual health. Fruit and vegetable consumption is linked with higher occurrences of reporting depressive symptoms. Consuming breakfast irregularly is also connected with poor mental health. So one of our healthy lifestyle choices is regularly consuming breakfast, and a healthy breakfast at that. The other great thing about this is we're in the schools. We see our young people every day. And if most of the symptoms start to appear by age 14, we have such a powerful opportunity in food service to look those young people in the eyes every day and let them know that they matter, their lives are important, they have value. And also, if you see someone who may be struggling, we can reach out to them and help connect them with the school counselors or other support resources so they get what they need. And that's such a beautiful opportunity that we have in food service, and it's so exciting. Gut flora, which is good bacteria in our gut, in our GI tract, has also been shown to help control mental health through the gut-brain axis. What you put in your mouth affects your mental health. Who knew, right? Let's make healthy choices that build us up and make us feel better each day. Dysbiosis is a term you may have heard on the news or on TV shows. Your gut bacteria being out of balance is all that word means. It means that the not healthy bacteria has overgrown and gotten out of its box, and it's no longer in balance. It's more common among people with a high risk of depression. Things that can affect dysbiosis include psychological stress, vitamin deficiencies, smoking, low physical activity, and sleep problems, just to name a few. The common denominator among these, though, if you look at it, are things we have control over. I can choose when I go to bed most of the time. I can choose how physically active I'm going to be. It may mean I have to exercise after work or before work, but I can choose to stop smoking if I'm a smoker, or I can reach out and get a support program to help me change that habit if I need to. I can work with my doctor to correct any vitamin or mineral deficiency. So a lot of this is in control of, in our power to control. So let's look at some specific nutrients that can help our mental wellness be strong and on point. Number one is omega-3 fatty acids. We call them PUFAs, which is a polyunsaturated fatty acid. That is a good fat. The typical Western diet is high in omega-6, and therefore many in Western countries and here in the US need to consume more seafood or omega-3, high omega-3 foods or omega-3 supplements to balance the ratio of omega-3 to omega-6. And it has to be consumed through the diet, which makes it an essential nutrient. EPA and DHA are two of the fats found in omega-3s, and they are most biorelevant for mental health, which means that they're the most relevant to help our mental wellness. It affects receptor function, uptake in neurotransmitters, which means those messengers in our nervous system taking up nutrients, signal transmission along the body's electrical system, which is our nervous system. We're going to talk about the nervous system a lot. And it has been used to treat mood disorders. High levels of DHA have been shown to improve serotonin sensitivity, and serotonin is a really important hormone when it comes to mental wellness. It also retards something called cytokines and mitogen synthesis, which are linked to inflammation and our immune system response. And it has a decreased risk of vascular disease. So omega-3s are really important. If you've been with school nutrition for a while, you've heard us talk about them before. They're very important. We can consume fish to get some of our omega-3s. It was linked with less sleep problems and better daily functioning. A Mediterranean diet, which is high in seafood, is a good source of omega-3 and antioxidants, where a Western diet, which is high in trans fats, sugar, and high omega-6 is not as beneficial. How can I tell if I'm deficient in omega-3s? It can increase the rate of brain aging by preventing membrane renewal. It can cause an imbalance in omega-3s and omega-6, which can cause heightened depressive symptoms, more depressive symptoms. It can cause nutrition and depression are intricately and undeniably linked according to a study by Ramesh and Rao. And omega-3 deficiency is found in depressed patients even after they have successful antidepressant therapy, which is really surprising. Omega-3 may also help with major depressive disorder that is treatment resistant. So when we correct our nutrition, it can help give our mental wellness a huge boost. All right, let's move on. Now we're going to talk about the entire class of B vitamins. So we're going to look at some individually, but all B vitamins as a whole are an essential nutrient. We have to get them through our diet. They are water soluble, which means our bodies are not going to hold on to them, so we must get them through our diet or through a supplement. But the best way to get them is through a balanced, varied diet. Vitamin B1 is called thiamine, and we have found that mood improves with B vitamins, and we have to get it from our diet. So like I said, talk to your doctor about supplementation if that's a necessity, but the best source is a healthy diet. B vitamins are a class that support energy metabolism and stress management. Thiamine helps change carbohydrates into energy, which is really important when it comes to weight management. Helps give the brain and nervous system energy so we have the mental energy to do our jobs in life, and it helps us with muscle contraction and nerve signals. So how can I tell if I'm deficient in thiamine? Loss of appetite, fatigue, irritability, tingling in the extremities, muscle weakness, blurry vision, nausea, vomiting, heart rate changes, shortness of breath, and delirium are all symptoms of a thiamine deficiency. How do I get thiamine in my diet? You can get it through things like beef, milk, fortified grains, oranges, pork, eggs, seafood, black beans, dried fruit, and peas. All good sources of B1. Now, vitamin B2 is called riboflavin, and that helps break down protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Very important for our digestion. They also help convert carbs into something called ATP, which provides energy to our body and supports our nervous system. And it affects our entire body. We can find this in beef, fortified grains, dairy, mushrooms, seafood, nuts and seeds, and eggs. And deficiency symptoms could be things like skin problems, swelling of the mouth and throat, cracking at the corners of the mouth, hair loss, reproductive problems, and a sore throat. All right, B6. It helps keep our central nervous system, skin, and red blood cells healthy. And it helps with our cellular metabolism, which is how the cells work, and it's really great. All B vitamins are involved in multiple functions throughout our body, so they are a fantastic nutrient to make sure we're getting. You can find them in fortified grains, dairy, eggs, soy, poultry, fish, vegetables, peanuts, and potatoes. And deficiency symptoms might be tingling in your hands and feet, a weak immune system, depression, confusion, seizures, anemia, low energy, and skin problems like rashes. B9 is folate. We've probably all heard of this for fortified grains and expectant mothers. It increases our response to antidepressants, which is a really nice thing. It protects our DNA, helps tissue grow and cell function, and it works with B12 and vitamin C to make some proteins. We have found that folate levels in patients with depression could be as much as 25% lower than other patients. It has a critical role in the metabolic pathways and neural development, right? We don't want neural tube defects. That's why we have to make sure that expectant mothers are getting enough folate. It is essential for normal central nervous system function and may affect our mood through lots of different mechanisms. It is successfully used to enhance antidepressant medication in cooperation with your doctor. And deficiency symptoms could be depression. It also reduces the response of antidepressants along with fatigue, confusion, dementia, irritability, and it's common among women of childbearing age. You can also have diarrhea, mouth ulcers, poor growth, and a swollen tongue. Where do we find this? Cruciferous vegetables, which is great because it's cabbage season, so it's a great time to get it. Liver, oranges, eggs, leafy greens, avocado, banana, fortified grains, and chickpeas. So there's something for everyone. B12 is called cobalamin. You may also find a form called methylcobalamin, and it can delay the onset of dementia, which I know I need that. I hope y'all need that too. It enhances brain and thinking function, helps with things like brain fog, mental clarity. It protects our central nervous system and our DNA, and it protects us against certain forms of anemia. It is involved in literally every process in our cell function. A cofactor of DNA synthesis and amino acids and fatty acids, which means it works with those things. It can boost frontal lobe function, which is our center for reason and logic, so it can help us with critical thinking and logic skills, and it's part of enzyme function. A deficiency in B12 could give you symptoms like memory loss, mental dysfunction and depression, fatigue, feeling of pins and needles in your body, mobility changes, mouth ulcers, dizziness, shortness of breath, vision changes. It is essential for normal nerve functioning, and it can affect your mood. It can also have lower levels are shown in many depressed patients, and it can also cause developmental delays in children. And sources of B12 include meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and dairy products. Now we're going to talk about some minerals that are really helpful for our wellness. Iodine is important. You can usually find it in just regular iodized table salt, kelp, seafood, dairy products. It has hormone levels that affect mood, energy levels, and depressive symptoms, and it is needed for bone and brain development in our youth. If you have an iodine deficiency that is severe, you could develop something called a goiter on your neck, which is a growth. It can cause low thyroid hormone, delayed sexual development in youth, and lower IQ and mental confusion. It helps make our thyroid hormone, which is really important for our endocrine system and our hormone balance. Next, we have selenium, which is an essential part of antioxidant enzyme glutathione, which protects our nerves from tissue damage. It also prevents cell damage and heavy metal exposure. Thyroid hormone production and DNA synthesis is also important with selenium, and it helps our immune support. So where do I find selenium? Eating 2 to 4 Brazil nuts a day will give you your daily recommended amount of selenium. You can also find it in eggs, seeds, grains, seafood, dairy, mushrooms, poultry, leafy greens, and soybeans. If you have a selenium deficiency, your brain will actually retain selenium at the cost of your other bodily functions, like your kidney and your liver. Important component of mood control is selenium. Adequate selenium diets show significantly improved mood results, particularly in HIV patients. It also impairs immune function if we're deficient. It can cause problems in male fertility, and it can make iodine deficiencies worse. So selenium and iodine are kind of a 1-2 punch for our immune system and balancing everything. Now, iron, we're probably most familiar with this one. It's necessary for neurotransmitter and myelin synthesis. Now, myelins are the white insulation around our nerves, kind of like the insulation around wiring in our phone chargers, and it improves the speed of transmission. So it just makes our bodies more efficient, so they don't have to use as much energy to get from one part of our body to the next part of our body. It's common among women of childbearing age and alters the myelin sheath if there's a deficiency in neurotransmitter function, which means our bodies don't function as well and it takes more work to get the messages and signals throughout our body. Deficiency can cause damage in the body's ability to synthesize and break down things like dopamine, serotonin, and neuroadrenaline. And dopamine and serotonin are some of our happy hormones that are very important for us to be able to break down. Some symptoms of an iron deficiency could be fatigue, cold intolerance, meaning that you can't handle cold temperatures, apathy, inability to concentrate, cognitive function deficits or problems. Non-anemic iron deficiency is more common among younger women taking oral contraceptives. So where can I find iron in my diet? My favorite source is dark chocolate, but you can also find it in blackstrap molasses, meat, spinach, soy, legumes, eggs, poultry, beans and seeds, cashews and pistachios, cruciferous vegetables, dried apricots, fortified grains, and you can also cook in cast iron cookware. So our next mineral we're going to look at is zinc. It is also necessary for neurotransmitter and myelin synthesis. It can affect our taste perception, protects brain cells against free radical damage, boost our immune system, and is important for DNA synthesis, which means when our body is making more DNA. And it's easy to test your zinc levels. So a deficiency of zinc would look like developmental IQ and cognitive problems in children. It's also common among women of childbearing age. And again, it can alter your neurotransmitter and DNA synthesis. So some symptoms are very similar to iron. Cold, fatigue, cold intolerance, apathy, stress, things like that. And you can also find it in dark chocolate, shellfish, meat, spinach, dairy, legumes, eggs. Lentils are a great example of legumes with zinc in them. Whole grains, seeds, cashews, almonds, potatoes are all great sources of zinc. Now we're going to switch from vitamins and minerals and talk more about like a category. And that category is antioxidants. You're probably most familiar with vitamins C and E. You probably hear about this all the time on the news. It supports communication with the nervous system. Antioxidants help protect our membranes and our neurotransmitter transport, which again are all those little messengers running up and down our nervous system, carrying messages and information to our body parts, which affect the central nervous system. It also helps protect us from damage. It causes oxidative stress and vascular changes, which means it helps stop aging. It helps slow down the process of our cells aging and dying and decaying, and that's a really good thing. High doses of antioxidants in conjunction with your primary care doctor have been shown to help fight aging and the wear and tear of life and prevent oxidative stress and your brains particularly. Vitamin C in high doses is shown to reduce the severity of major depressive disorder, and vitamin E helps protect our body from oxidation. Significant positive correlation between vitamin E and major depressive disorder has also been found, but there's some conflicting research with that. So basically, what we have found about antioxidants is that when we are eating lots of antioxidant-rich foods, things high in vitamin C, things high in vitamin E, you might think of berries or citrus or bell peppers. What it does is it helps slow down the aging process. It protects our cells so they can do their job, and it can work in conjunction with a plan if you are suffering with depression or on a plan with that. So some sources, like I said, could be berries that are brightly colored foods, nuts, pomegranates, red wine, not beer or hard spirits, but some red wine is also a good source of antioxidants. All right, mental wellness. How do we achieve this mental wellness that we're talking about? We're incorporating these things into our diet. We've talked about how do we achieve mental wellness. Number one, we want to make sure we get enough sleep. We need about 8 hours of sleep a day. We're more alert and less prone to stress after a good night's rest, and getting enough sleep can also improve our memory. Getting enough sleep is really important for hormone production as well, to produce those happy hormones that keep us with that feeling of wellness and happiness. Eat a healthy diet. That's what we're talking about. Foods rich in omega-3s, antioxidants, fatty acids like salmon, tuna, mackerel cut the risk of dementia and mental decline. Good nutrition is a natural defense against stress. So we want to begin our day with a nutritious breakfast. Whole grain cereal and fruit is a good option, or a protein and a vegetable is a good option. We want to eat balanced meals throughout the day. Keep ourselves active. At least 30 minutes of exercise 3 times a week. 5 times a week is ideal, but at least 3 times a week. And we want exercising to keep us physically strong and also helps reduce and prevent stress. Go for a walk. Grab a neighbor or a friend you like and go for a walk and have social time at the same time. Unwind with stretching or something that you enjoy that gets your body moving. Take a dance class online. Find an energy, a way to expel that energy and a way to exercise that you enjoy, and do that. It's better to do moderate activity 3 to 5 times a week regularly than to have a heavy workout occasionally, because the key here is consistency. For this whole slide, we want to make sure we're getting sleep and a healthy diet and keeping ourselves active and all these other things consistently. We also want to interact with others. We are social beings. We are designed to interact with other humans, and that can be a little bit of a challenge right now, but luckily we have technology that allows us to Zoom or FaceTime with people and do video chats with people, so that can be a solution. We want to talk with people because it stimulates our brain and it also connects us to other humans. And a study in the US found that talking to another person for at least 10 minutes a day can improve our memory. Also, the more we interact with others, the faster our brain works. So that's a great tip. Pick a new skill or hobby. Find something that interests you and learn about it. It could be a musical instrument, a new computer skill, starting a hobby, learning to knit or crochet, learning to cook a new recipe, just things, or doing puzzles, things that keep our brain active. Some more mental wellness tips. We want to get a mental workout. Scrabble, mahjong, puzzles, things that involve a combination of memory, decision-making, and strategies keep our brains active and prevent dementia. In addition, playing in a group will boost interaction as well. Do something for others. The best remedy when we're feeling down is to serve others. We can help a friend or a family member, do a community service project, and it helps us take the focus off of us and serve other people, and that tends to make us feel more positive. We also want to learn to manage our stress. We want to shift our mindset and make a list. Make a list of all the goals you have and check them off when they're completed. This will help you tackle things one at a time, and seeing problems as opportunities or focusing on the positive can really help us reduce stress. Stress cannot be avoided, it is part of life, but we can learn to manage it and healthier ways to interact with it because some stress is actually good and makes us productive. There is a tipping point where it becomes unhealthy, so we want to keep it in that sweet spot where it keeps us healthy and productive. Avoid alcohol, cigarettes, and illicit drugs. They're not solutions to the problem. If you are having emotional stress, we want you to reach out and seek support from family, friends, professional help, your pastor, somewhere where you feel safe and it's a safe place for you and you know you're loved and accepted and cared for. Substances are just a temporary solution, but they're not going to give you relief from what is bothering you. So please reach out. There's tons of people out there who love you and care about you and want to support you. And then my favorite is laughter is the best medicine. Laugh yourself silly. Have fun whenever you can. Enjoy the little things in life. That means you have to look up a cat video or a picture of a baby laughing. Do that. And the great thing is our brain can't tell the difference between a forced smile and a real one. So if you're having a rough day, you can just start to smile, and in a few seconds or a few minutes, your brain is going to catch up and realize like, oh, I'm happy, and it'll change that around for you. So laughter is the best medicine. Engage in laughter often. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about stressing less by managing our time. This is part of our stress management that we talked about on the last slide. So, are you stressed? Some days we have great. Some days we have the right-hand side after work. Just depends. So what are the short-term effects on our mental health of stress and on our general health of stress? It can increase our heart rate, our blood pressure, our breathing rate, our muscle tension, and perspiration, just in the short term. If we cannot manage our stress effectively, our long-term effects can be high blood pressure, chronic pain, muscle tension, suppressed immune system, disease or illness, colds and flu, general sense of fatigue, insomnia, and depression. So we definitely want to make sure we are managing our stress. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a brief break, and your facilitator is going to lead you in the card shark activity, which is a lot of fun. And then we'll come back together and pick up where we left off. All right, welcome back. I hope y'all had as much fun with the card shark activity as we usually have. Let's talk a little bit about time management. Time is much like money. It's valuable and limited. It has to be protected and it has to be used wisely. Each of us gets the exact same amount of time throughout a day. We each get 24 hours or 1,440 minutes or 86,400 seconds each day. Nobody gets more. Nobody gets less. We all get the same. Every night, whatever part of this time we failed to invest is written off as lost. That loss is ours, so we want to use it the best we can. Time waits for nobody. We can't manage time, but we can manage events in our lives in relation to time. So people who practice good time management techniques usually find they're more productive, have more energy for things they need to accomplish, feel less stressed, and are able to do the things they want to get done. They also relate more positively to other people, and they feel better about themselves because they're not running around stressed out. So what happens if we don't have time management? Stress! We get stressed. Our body responds to the pressure or tension you feel when you're faced with a situation that's new, unpleasant, or threatening. Too much stress can affect mental and physical health and even damage relationships with family and friends, right? Our tempers can get short if we're stressed out. Over time, stress can harm our physical health as well as our mental health, causing or contributing to allergies, muscle tension, especially in the neck and back area, gastrointestinal, GI upsets, sore throat, sinus infections, colds and flu, migraines and tension headaches, sleep disorders, high blood pressure, heart disease, and more. Poor time management affects our job performance by reducing our productivity and efficiency. It can affect our concentration as well. When a person is having trouble managing time, they often become frustrated and short-tempered. Whether they are part of the family or a work team, your contributions are reduced. What happens when we're not practicing good time management? This is a question for y'all. So take a minute, talk among yourselves, come up with a couple of answers with your facilitator, and we'll come back. What happens when we're not practicing good time management? Okay, that sounded like a great discussion. So what can we do to manage our time better? Number one, stop procrastinating. Show of hands, whoever is a procrastinator in the room. I know I've been one of them. Do we put off tasks because they're overwhelming or unpleasant? Do we put off making decisions? Maybe we just don't want to deal with the reality of the situation or the work it might create for us. Whatever the situation, procrastinating is going to hinder our ability to manage our time. It can be bad on our health. It can really destroy teamwork and trust, and it can make it harder for us to get tasks done. So managing some external time wasters. The telephone can be a time waster at home or at work. If family members or friends call you at work, it can hinder you from getting your job done. You can use breaks to handle phone calls and appointments, and you can let your significant people in your life know when you're going to be available to call them back. You know, I'll have a break at this time and I'll have a break at this time, and I'll try to return calls within those break times. But other than that, I won't be available because I'm at work. And that's a healthy boundary to set. Are you chronically late for work and other activities? Do friends tell you to be ready 30 minutes before they're gonna arrive to pick you up because they know you'll be late? Tardiness is a big time waster. Unexpected visitors, people popping in and out of your workplace or interrupting your work. Talking with coworkers can be a good thing as long as we stay on task, but we don't want to let it get out of control. The internet, everybody can get sucked into the wormhole of the internet, especially if we're looking something up. So try to set a timer maybe and keep yourself on task. Family obligations are so important and we want to value them and make them a priority, but we also want to make sure that they stay reasonable. And emails, if you have emails for work, it's a great idea to set a time, like an appointment block on your calendar of when you're going to check it, maybe twice a day. And that can help manage it from getting overwhelming. So what are some things that you could do to improve this situation? Some things you might be able to do are delegate and get help from others. It is not a sign of weakness to get help from others. It's a sign that you know yourself, you know your limits, and you want to be a good team member. So we want to identify the task, number one, and match that task to a qualified team member. So you have a certain skill that needs to be done. You want to find a person on the team with that skill set and match them up for that task. You want to define the task and establish your expectations with that person. Check on progress and reward the success. We want to celebrate a job well done. It can be stressful to try to do everything ourselves, and it's totally okay to ask for help from other people. We also want to schedule our time appropriately. We want to block out time for your highest priority activities first. We call that eating the frog first. So we take the most important thing to get done that day, or something we really don't want to do, but we really need to get done. Do that first, and then everything afterwards is icing on the cake. And we only want to schedule about 75% of our time to leave opportunity for creativity, because if we schedule 100% of our time, we don't have any wiggle room for when life happens. Murphy will show up from time to time, and we want to leave ourselves that flexibility so we're not overly stressed. Another thing we can do is use a planning tool. Everybody uses different planning tools, and that's fine. You have to find what works for you. Writing down tasks frees your mind to focus on your priorities because we're not running it over and over again trying to keep it at the top of our mind. And whether you want to use a paper-based planning tool or an electronic one like a computer or a cell phone is entirely up to you. You find what works for you. We also want to get organized. Disorganization can cost us a lot of time and stress, and it is a problem. that we can address pretty easily. What prevents you from getting your work on time or getting to work on time? Did you watch TV too late, get to bed too late, have too many phone calls, had trouble getting the family ready and out the door? Did you put off tasks to the last minute? It's time to get organized so that you can get to work on time, keep agreements with your friends and family, and find what you need to find when you need to find it. So think about what you might do to improve this situation in your own life. I'll give you just a minute for that. Have you got something in mind? Good. Oftentimes, it's things that we haven't given a home to them. We don't know quite what to do with them yet. And an easy way to get organized is to have 3 boxes or bins or piles, one keep, one giveaway, and one toss. It's a frequently used system to remove clutter. Once the clutter is gone, it's time to implement a system that allows you to handle the information less. The best way to do it is handle the information once, but we definitely want to touch it as few times as possible. And then, of course, the toss, you would get rid of that pile. The giveaway, you would give that pile away. And then the pile to keep, you would keep. How do we conquer the clutter in our life? There are about 5 options for handling this. You can throw it away, delete it, otherwise get rid of it, delegate it, give it to somebody else to do, to file, or to respond, especially at work. Act on it yourself if it's something you need to do, and then throw it away or file it. We can file it temporarily until it needs action or an additional information is received. That could be a follow-up letter or a bill that's due later in the month. We can have a little tickler file that can be useful for holding temporary information, which is usually within the month. Or number 5, we can file it permanently where you can retrieve it. So maybe you have a binder for your important legal documents like insurance paperwork. You may have to try several methods until you find the one that works for you, but keep at it and you'll find that sweet spot that works for you and it'll be great. So just take a moment to think about what is cluttering your life. Is it paperwork? Too many books? Too many possessions? Is there stress in your life? Think about what's cluttering your life. This is a great conversation to have with your facilitator, so I'll give you a minute for that. Some tools to help us in decluttering. You have to select the method that works for you. We're all individuals and we're all going to have different ways of dealing with things, so pick what works for you. To avoid being overwhelmed with incoming mail, you could sort it by a trash can and or put things directly in the shredder. You can remove clutter from desk drawers by using a utensil holder or an ice cube tray to sort items. Keep items needed for particular chores in a bucket, like a bathroom cleaning bucket or a household cleaning bucket that you can grab and go. If magazines and newspapers are stacking up, you can subscribe to them online, or maybe you decide you're not really using that magazine and you cancel the subscription. Are broken items cluttering your space? You either want to donate or recycle them if you're not going to fix them. Donate or recycle electronics to clear space. You can also use apps that you can sell things on or neighborhood selling and swapping posting boards. Are clothes and shoes piling up? Have a clothing swap with friends or donate to charity of your choice. So don't forget, consignment shops are a great option. And for electronic decluttering, we can back things up on an external hard drive, clear out our inboxes, and so forth. So which of these excuses do you keep things because of? Huh? I know I have totally been guilty of the I'll use it someday. So it's a good opportunity when I'm cleaning out to laugh at myself and just have a good chuckle over it. But just think about it. How often have we heard this? I'll use it someday, or it's too good to throw away. It'll be worth something someday, or it will come back in style. It was a gift from so and so, my aunt, great aunt so and so, whom I never even met. I paid good money for it. As soon as I lose weight, I'll wear it. I am totally guilty of trying to get back into my college jeans. They don't make these anymore, or I'm saving it for whomever. Don't let these excuses hold you back, because that's probably not the real reason we're holding on to it. So just remember, someday is just code word for never. And I'm not saying throw it away, but maybe it's something that we can be charitable and pass it on to somebody who will use it and love it and appreciate it. And we'll get a sense of well-being and joy from that as well. But just think about it, and it's fun. It's fun to think about, what excuses have I bought to hold on to clutter in my life? We also want to avoid multitasking. It is a fallacy that we can multitask. There's actual science that shows that our brains can't actually multitask. It's just like having multiple tabs open in the browser of our brain, and it slows us down. It doesn't actually save us time. So show of hands, how many of us are multitaskers? I would recommend you make a list of everything and do one thing at a time, because you'll find you'll actually save time. And I've totally tried to multitask multiple times, and it just doesn't work as well as focus on one thing. And it can also increase our stress levels, which is not good. So let's talk about digital wellness. We live in a digital world. Most of us, show of hands, who's got a smartphone? Right? A lot of us have some form of smart device, a tablet, a computer, a digital device, a phone, a watch, some kind of fitness tracker. So on cell phones, we have two options. I'm going to show you one for Android and one for Apple. And it's a digital wellness app that comes on your phone, and it's really cool because you can set timers for your apps, and when that time has expired, it shuts the app down for the day. So you can help have a little bit of discipline and structure built in for you if you want to make sure you're managing your time on social media, or you're not spending too much time scrolling through pictures, that sort of thing. It can also set you into, I know for Android, it can go into me time. You can tap a button for me time. That'll kind of shut everything down except for certain apps you've allowed. Work time, and it has a wind down function where you can set a certain time at night for it to go into grayscale and turn off the sound, and so you can wind down and get ready for bed without that blue light keeping your brain awake, which is a really nice option. And on Apple, it's very similar. You can have screen time. Both of them give you weekly reports. Both of you give you downtime and app limits, as well as privacy restrictions. And they also give you reports for that, which is great. So both of them are very similar, but I think it's helpful for me because I know when my phone goes into wind down mode that it's time for me to just turn it off and start to get ready for bed so I can wake up rested because I've had a full night's sleep and productive and get to work on time. Here are some time management apps you may want to check out. And again, everybody's different, so you have to find the one that works for you. I believe most of these are free. So here are some habit development and goal planners. Here's some time task managers for productivity. And then we also have some time savers, which this one's really helpful section since we're in curbside pickup right now. And some time trackers, which can help us with making sure we're being efficient with our time. A lot of time management really comes down to knowing ourselves. I recommend you keep a log for maybe a week and track, when am I most productive? When is my brain online? When am I in my flow and I'm June in and I can just churn stuff out? How do you balance work and family? That's an important balance. We value family. We want that to be a part of our life, but how do we balance that? How do you utilize your waiting and commuting time? Do I use it for personal development? Do I use it to work on my mindset and my overall mood and make sure I'm happy and refilling myself? How do you make time for yourself? When do you build in self-care throughout your week and throughout your day? So there's just some questions for you to think about because all of these things are important. You are worth having self-care, and these are just some ways to make your time more efficient. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit from time into basic nutrition tips. Now, those of you who've been with us for a while probably know this already, but we're going to do a quick review because we would be remiss if we did not when we're talking about nutrition. So, any food made from wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, barley, or another cereal grain is considered a grain product. They're divided into two subgroups, whole grains and refined grains. Whole grains contain the entire grain kernel, which is the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. People who eat whole grains are part of a healthy eating style, and they have a reduced risk of some chronic diseases like heart disease and cancer. To make half of your grains whole is our recommendation with My Plate. You want to choose things that are 100% whole wheat bread, bagels, pasta, tortillas, brown rice, oatmeal, so forth. Please read the ingredients list. That's the fastest way to tell if you're really getting whole grains or not. And choose products where the name whole grain ingredient is the first on the list. Look for whole wheat, brown rice, bulgur, buckwheat, oatmeal, whole grain cornmeal, whole oats, and whole rye. You really want to see that word whole, not enriched, because you want to make sure you're getting whole grains. So that's our grains category. Fruits, one of my favorite food groups. People who eat more fruits as part of an overall healthy eating style are likely to have a reduced risk of some chronic diseases. Fruits provide nutrients vital for health, such as potassium, dietary fiber, vitamin C, and folate. Make most of your choices whole or cut up fruits rather than fruit juices. You want that fiber in there. The benefits of the dietary fiber in whole and cut up fruits really help our diet. So we want to make sure we're getting it from that. It's also less sugar than if we're picking fruit juice. Focus on whole fruits, canned and frozen and dried instead of just juices. The sugar naturally found in fruit does not count as an added sugar, so that's important to remember. If you're going to buy fruits that are dried, frozen, or canned, you want them in 100% juice or water, not a sugar syrup. You want it as fresh as possible when you buy fresh produce, so you always have a little bit on hand. You can snack on fruits. They're great to leave out on a plate for kids to have snacks. Fruit also makes great snacks if you want dried fruits mixed with nuts. Whole fruits like apples cut up great, and they're great with like some nut butters for protein. You can rinse fruit. Please rinse fruit before preparing or eating them under clean running water. Rub the fruit briskly to remove dirt and surface microorganisms. After rinsing, dry it well with a clean towel. Our next category is dairy. The dairy group includes milk, yogurt, cheese, and fortified soy milk. They can provide calcium, vitamin D, potassium, protein, and other nutrients needed for good health throughout our life cycle. Choices should be low-fat or fat-free to cut calories and saturated fat. How much is needed? Older children, teens, and adults need 3 cups a day, while children 4 to 8 years need 2.5 cups a day, and children 2 to 3 years old need 2 cups. Drink fat-free, skim, or low-fat, which is 1% milk. If you currently drink whole milk, you can start gradually switching to lower fat versions. So start with like 75% whole milk and 25% low-fat milk, and go to 50-50, then go to 75-25 in the other direction. And before you know it, you will have weaned yourself off onto a lower fat option that's better for you. This change cuts saturated fat and calories, but doesn't reduce calcium or other nutrients that your body needs. Many cheeses are also high in saturated fat, so look for the reduced or low-fat versions on the label. Try different brands or types to find ones that you like. And when a recipe like a dip calls for sour cream, you can substitute plain yogurt. Use fat-free evaporated milk instead of cream. And try low-fat or fat-free ricotta cheese as a substitute for cream cheese. If you are lactose intolerant, you can try yogurt, lactose-free milk, or soy milk to get your calcium. Our next category is protein. Protein foods include both animal and plant based products. So that could be meat, poultry, seafood, eggs, or beans, peas, soy products, nuts, and seeds. We all need protein, but most Americans get enough and sometimes more than they need. How much is enough? Most people age 9 and older should eat 5 to 7 ounces of protein foods each day. Eat a variety of foods from protein food groups each week, and experiment with main dishes made with beans, peas, nuts, soy, and seafood. Try beans and peas like kidney, pinto, black, white beans, split peas, chickpeas, and hummus. Soy products like tofu, tempeh, and veggie burgers. Nuts and seeds. They are naturally low in saturated fat and high in fiber. You can also eat seafood in place of meat or poultry twice a week. Select a variety of seafoods, include some that are high in oils and low in mercury like salmon, trout, and herring. Choose lean and low-fat cuts of meat like round or sirloin or ground beef that's at least 92% lean. Trim or drain the fat after it's cooked from meat and remove skin from poultry. Try grilling, broiling, roasting, or baking. They're all delicious options. They don't need extra fat. Some lean meats need slow, moist cooking to be tender. That would be something like braising. Try a slow cooker for those. That's a great option. Or even a pressure cooker. Avoid breading meat or poultry, which adds calories. My next favorite food group is the vegetable group. It's easy to eat more vegetables. Eating vegetables is important because they provide vitamins and minerals, and most are low in calories. To fit more vegetables into your day, try them as a snack and add them to your meals. Brighten your plate with vegetables that are red, orange, or dark green. They're full of vitamins, minerals, and those wonderful antioxidants we mentioned. Try acorn squash, cherry tomatoes, sweet potatoes, or collard greens. They not only taste great, but they're also good for you. Buy vegetables that are in season for maximum flavor and lowest cost. You can also check your local supermarket specials for the best in-season buys, or visit your local farmer's market. Frozen vegetables are a great option, especially if you need something that's not in season. They're quick and easy to use, and just as nutritious as fresh vegetables. Try adding frozen vegetables like corn, peas, edamame, spinach to your favorite dish, and look for frozen vegetables without any added sugars, sauces, gravies, butters, or cream. Canned vegetables are a great addition to any meal, so keep some on hand. Canned tomatoes, kidney beans, garbanzo beans are great on top of salads, mushrooms, and beets. Select those labeled as reduced sodium, low sodium, or no salt added so you can control how much salt is going into your diet. Choose new vegetables that you've never tried before and prepare it different ways if you like to. It's always fun to try a new recipe and see if you like it or not. And I like this picture. It's called sofas. Beware of the sofas. That's solid fats and added sugars. So just beware of some places they may hide, and be aware as you're reading your labels. They can hide in pizza, grain desserts, whole milk, regular cheese, and fatty meats. Your added sugars could be in your sodas and your sugar-sweetened beverages, fruit drinks, grain desserts, dairy desserts, and candy. So let's think about, we're asking you to eat a different way and boost your nutrition.